For those that is Saturday. So where we left off is we're looking at our architect design, and this is kind of cool because if you think about it, we're kind of starting from scratch. We're building it, and we use an Amazon as kind of our, kind of our bed that we're putting everything into. Now at the end, I'll do a recap, but most importantly, if you don't know where we are, probably watch the first video. I'm hoping you're not just jumping straight into this video, because if you are, then you missed a lot. Now, what we're doing is we're going to start working on our silver piece of our Medallion Architect, right? So let's just look at that really quick. Like I said, all this is in Google. I prefer this one. Yep, I prefer the data engineering wiki, but it's just because it's kind of like using a wiki, but for data engineering. So we got our bronze. Our bronze is just our raw data. We're dumping it down to S3 buckets, right? And we'll clean that up a little bit more. And then we're going to take it out of our, do we have a notepad over here that we were using? Let's see, probably video if I had to guess. Yep. So LZ is just our raw data. Here what we did was we generated data with TDM. About 30,000 records. We separated two files because we want to do some kind of ETL process with those files. And then what we did was we did a bulk upload, which was probably the most important of the last video, to both these files to our bronze. Right now, the truth is we're going to clean up our folder a little bit because I want some automation as well. But what I want to do is also talk about our partitioning and make sure our files are being copied up correctly. So we just can put some timestamps on them basically. And then we get our bronze, so that puts everything in our bronze, then our ETL, then now what we're going to do with the ETLs, we're going to pull it out of bronze, and then we're going to stick it into our silver environment. I'm not 100% sure. Yeah, we'll use glue at this point, but not Athena. So that's kind of going to be our end state is with the Athena piece, possibly. We'll see when we get there. Now, to get started, I took our original process, our original code from bronze. I just copied over things I knew was going to be repetitive, right? And I want all of these to be command lines because we want to automate this process. We don't want to be able to open up code and click run, right? And that's why I made them command lines. I probably haven't said that yet. The other thing too is I tried to build some of this in Lambda functions. The problem is the process takes too long or is too large to put into a Lambda. But that doesn't mean a Lambda can't call an API or a Lambda, can't execute something else. The other thing too is I'm bringing these files local. We probably don't want to do that. But again, 30,000 rows of records is a lot to have in memory. Anyway, so we'll work on fine tuning it maybe at the end. Maybe, maybe not. Maybe I'll just leave that up to you because your situation is not going to be the same as mine. So we've got our large data going into S3. Now this is our ETL process, so I called it Silver ETL. If you watched the last video, I just want to see what I left off here. So our main is good. Let's get some spacing going on here. And then I think I only brought over our large. Yep. So, okay, so we got that because we don't need to create a bucket. The bucket's already there. Or do we? We may want to create a bucket inside silver. Yeah, so maybe we should have brought that one over too. So let's just go ahead and grab that. Not a big deal. We can always rewrite it, but why if we already have it, right? So what did we call that one? Right, raw metrics to bronze, this one. Okay, we'll say new window. And here we're just going to grab the create bucket. Okay. So we'll stick this one right here. That's just in case we may or may not need it. Okay, that's fine. Let's see what else we do. Create buckets, enlarge. I did a save, but we're not using the save, I don't think. Oh, yeah, we are. That's why I broke it out because we were doing two files at once. We're not going to do that here because we're just going to do one file because the whole point is to merge the file. And get data by file. We may or may not use this one. I debated on just bringing them down local, but we need to see how to bring them out of S3. So we may or may not use that one. So I'm just going to leave that open. So let's get started. So we got create bucket. First thing, like I said, let's see if we can get our data out of S3. Probably should go look at S3 real quick. So I'm probably going to cut right here just so I can do this without you watching. Okay, so I'm back. So I did create some extra folders in here last night. I probably should talk to you about that. We got bronze. We need to create one for silver. We can have our code do it for us. I have some data and some scripts. We'll talk about those here shortly. I will talk about these when we get to our glue. I was just playing with some extra files last night, some massive files, and everything worked like a charm. So we're going to go through all that, no big deal. The biggest thing now, we have a bronze. A bronze has a data lake, and up here, this is where we uploaded our code. I might have took it out because I was playing, so we need to put that back. Oh, actually, that is our JSON file. Okay, so we don't like that one. Let's take that one out. I'm debating if this is even the right environment, but that's okay. We'll figure it out, won't we? It's the problem with taking a break and picking it up the next day. You got to figure out where you left off, especially when you start recording without looking at it. So let's just delete that, and let's run this one again and see if this takes our data. Again, just to recap, basically this runs and it's going to grab these two files. Like I said, there's 30,000 rows of records. We create a synthetic data with TDM, just create these files, and now we're just going to upload them. Okay, so let's just run this. See what happens. Okay, so it did put them into Tim Data Lake. So let's go to Tim Data Lake. Let's see where they are. Let's close this. We'll go back one. Oh, there they are. Cool. So yes, so that did work. So it's in bronze. It's here and here. Okay, so we're good. So now what we need is, I'm going to go up one level to bronze, and I'm going to copy this URL. I don't think we can use it. Oh, by the way, for the record, look how fast that was, right? That was pretty quick. I don't think we can use it here this way, but I'm going to put it there anyway, just to make sure. So create bucket. What I'm going to do now is, let's see, diff list objects in the bucket, right? Oh, that's kind of cool. That's smart enough to do what I wanted to do. I think it really is. Again, I'm using Codium. Codium remembers things you've done kind of in a way. That's how machine learning kind of does, right? So, and it does a great job of saying, hey, why don't you do it this way? So let me read through this, and because I really don't want to waste a lot of time. So put our logging into place. So instead of saying list, oh, now tell me the method. That's kind of cool. So we need a placeholder for our objects. And then we're going to just basically loop through here, say S3. That might have been an overkill. Give me a second to think about this. Oh, okay. So yeah, that's fine. We could have called that on a separate line so we can see what it is. But basically it's looping through and it's saying pass in the bucket name into this S3 object, list the objects, and bring back the contents, right? This is going to be a dictionary, and write out the key. Okay. And then what we can do, I guess I can return the objects. Yeah, that's fine. Let's do that. That's a pretty smooth way of doing it. So let's go down here to our main, and this is after. Okay, so I don't like everything working in main. So why don't we put a diff, and we'll call it start. And here, let's just do this because I don't know what I need yet. And list objects. Now that's not right. Or maybe it is. No, the S3 is definitely not right. So what we're going to do is bring, so that gets access. So this is our Boto3. And there is, okay, so what we can do is just say start. And we're going to pass in our Boto3. Okay. And that's going to be a Boto3 client. So up here we need an S3. Okay, and then here we don't need it like that. The only thing I don't like is this data lake because I need it a little bit further. So you wouldn't want to hard code this, but I guess it doesn't matter because we're going to bronze, right? So actually this path would help us. So I want everything in bronze. And we're going to call this buckets equals, and then here, so that's going to be a list. By the way, I didn't say that. It's going to be a list, hence here. So what we're going to do is write out this list. So for E or for B in buckets, print buckets. Okay, cool. And then let's just put us a stop point here so we can stop. All right, so let's test this. I mean, it was pretty fast, you know, less than a minute to write this. And it's a powerful little gadget. So what we're going to do is put a breakpoint here and here. And let's just see what happens. Okay, so it's kicking off. Okay, that's fine. I like to take peeks while I'm moving. Oops, didn't mean to close that. Keep an eye on our console because that has our print line. Oh, and one thing too, the app log is what's created with your log file. So if I click on that, it gets renewed every day. It's one thing I should have said, and you'll see that. Tomorrow, this will have a timestamp on it. So you always have at least one app log, but you'll have one with the date on it for the previous day. So that's a lot like Log4j or Log4net if you ever used it. And that's why I like using that. Let's see if this was right. Oh, it says none. So there was a problem here. So let's look at that. Because I do know we have buckets, right? We have the ones we just uploaded. Well, technically they're files. We don't want buckets. These are files. So bucket objects. We'll just do that. Because they can be anything, right? PDFs. It could be JSONs. Yeah, so let's just that. That's fine. Oh, I'm sorry. That would have been wrong anyway. B. Okay, so let's look at our objects first. So instead of doing it this way, I'm just going to call it bucket. And we're going to pass it in. So bucket is fine. And we're going to pass that in right here. You know what? That probably would have worked if I gave it the whole path. In fact, I'm pretty positive it is, but let's make this dynamic, right? So list objects. So I want to do this my way. Oh, I see what I'm doing here. Oops. The point of refactoring is it only works if you do it in the right place. So bucket name. So yeah, that's fine. But let's go ahead and do a test here too. So test equals, yeah, that's exactly what I want. So I just want to see if it brings back something. You know what? I actually want to break this out. So this is going to be a response. Okay. And I'm doing this so we can debug it a little bit better. I like that it did say, hey, you could do it this way and it's a lot cleaner. But that's about the right response. There we go. It says you can use it this way and it's a lot more Python friendly. And probably if I made this code production ready, it's probably the way I would do it. But let's just go ahead and break it out so we can watch it better. And so that's going to bring back a response. And you can look this up, right? So really it's going to be contents. It comes back as a dictionary because it's JSON. And we just want the contents. And then in the contents, we want the key, which is going to be the name. So, and then let's get smart with our print here so we can test it. So let's, before we return, we want to be able to test. So we're going to say print bucket. Let's see. What do we call it? Yeah, bucket name. And we want to say contains. I don't want length of objects. I actually want to, yeah, that's fine. And we'll say files just for kicks and giggles because we're going to be cool like that. Just turn objects, and that's fine. Now here, let's see. So now we need to call it, right? Oh, actually, you know what I just realized? This S3 is not... So there's two types of S3s, right? So there is the client, and then there's a resource, okay? So let's name this one S3 client. Oops. When I say Boto, so there's a Boto client, and then there's a Boto... All right, so I hate that it's trying to help me because that's not what I want. Okay, is that correct? So S3, yeah, so there's a client and then there's a resource. And this is actually the resource. And that's one of the reasons I wanted to define this. I knew that, but I wasn't sure if it was going to use it here or later. I had to think about that. But I want to use it in my main, because then I would pass it to it, whatever the method needed. And the truth is we're probably going to pass both because our start's going to do more than one thing. So we'll just pass both of them in there, and then we're probably going to need to pass in our bucket name. So let's just say S3. Let's create a S, if I can type this morning, which I can't. Again, my mic is kind of, I got to figure out a way to make my mic a little bit better. So I do like that, and I do like that because we're going to need those. But right now, let's say bucket name. So what I'm going to do is this. Well, I guess the bucket name has to be both, right? Because if not, we're going to get everything back. Let's just try that again this way. So we're going to say that. And let me grab this so I know what we're doing. Let's go up here to start. And what we're going to do in start is give us some real estate. Okay, and now here I need resource. So we're going to say S3 resource and client. Cool, so I'll pick that up. And then we're going to call this one just bucket name. And we'll call this one key. Okay, perfect. All right, and then when we pass to our list objects, our list object needs bucket name plus the resource, right? I don't know if, because what I'm saying is it cascades, right? So I don't want it at this level. I want it at this level. So if I grab that, so I think we could say path equals, whoop, what was it about to give us? No, I don't want that kind of path. Let's see, so let's do a format. Let's do a JSON version, but I don't know if I want to do it here. Or if I want to do it up here. So let's see, that's a lot of thinking, isn't it? All right, I guess that's fine. Technically, I don't even need to format, do I? So what we could do is just say path equals, oops, not there, sorry. Path equals S3 bucket name. And then, oh yeah, we will need to do it this way. So let's do this, S3, okay. Format, S3 bucket name. And then after that, we need this. Yeah, that's what I need. But I don't need it like that. Okay, that works. Okay, so what we're going to do is pass in the path here. And that, I think, is going to combine both of those. And then we need our S3 resource, not our S3 client. Oops, nope. That's okay. Why is it bouncing? It needs to stop. Again, that's that whole trying to help me situation. I don't like it because you got to be careful. I've got to go clean it up after this because I'm pretty sure there's a way to say don't tab to type, tab to move space. Maybe I can make it double tap. That'd be cool. You know, kind of like zombie thing. All right, let's see what that gets us. I was just looking, sorry. What was that zombie movie where you double tap? All right, let's see. So let's jump to here. So we have our bucket, our bronze. So let's go ahead and step in. Okay. Still says none. What am I missing? So there's a way to get that back. Okay, so maybe I do have to go up one level. So give me 1 second to look at this. Well, before we do, let's just try this. Start. What did this say? Yeah, so I was going to hard code that anyway. So let's go in. Don't care about that. It's really this S3 list objects. Maybe it still thinks that this is a... No, it says resource. Okay. And there is a list objects. Oh, I see. I see the problem. I let the tooltip help too much. So here, we're just going to put our objects back. Our response is wrong. Okay. So response S3. Again, this is where I kind of try to let this help me, but it's actually meta client list objects. And that will work. Okay, so now let's put all this back. Okay, so I left out this meta and client. I was too excited this morning to get to work, yada, yada, yada. I get to work on these videos. And I made a mistake. Happens to all of us. Let's say let's go into here. Step over, step over. Oh, now we got an error there. Let's see, invalid bucket name. So it doesn't like the bucket, that's fine. So what we can do, I think the bucket has to be at a top level. So let's get rid of this. Just pass this in, not our path here. Ah, seriously? Copy, paste, there we go. So let's try that again. And jump, and jump. I don't care because I don't think that works. I do want to go one level deeper. Okay, there we go. So that gives us something. Okay, and it brings back the key. So I guess we have to filter it from there. That's fine. Remember this E tag we did whenever we did our bulk upload? It's kind of the same thing here. But let's go to here. Let's jump. I'll see what we have written out. Contains 9 files, which is not what I want. Okay, so let's go ahead and see. But that's okay because I think we can write them out here. Yeah, see, it takes it a little bit deeper. So I'll do a little research. I don't want to go that deep. I just want to go this deep. So I don't think it will let me, but let's just try it. Can't hurt. It said it didn't like that. What if I put the full path in there? So where did we steal our full path? Let me actually get it again right here. Bronze, copy URL. Let's try this. List objects. Yes, that's not a bucket. That's a folder within the bucket. The bucket's at the top. Yeah, okay, so that's our problem. Sorry, I was kind of like laying on my hand. You probably didn't hear me too well. So we're going to have to filter, but that's fine. We can say if contains, right? But what I want to do is get these files. And we've got to, let's create a list. Let's say if B in path, continue. No, I don't want to do all that shit. And what we're saying is if bucket, no, stop. Seriously? So what do you mean by the tab thing? Okay, so if, it's this way, right? And if bronze, because that's our, actually we could do it from here, our key. So if B, if key in B, print B. Let's see if that works for us. But we don't want to print here. Oops. Okay, let's see if that works. Okay, so we know this brings stuff back. It might have errored out because it didn't get down to that level. Oh, no, we ain't got there yet. Okay, my bad. Okay. Yeah, so it printed the 2 we wanted. Cool. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to create another list. And we're going to call this one. Actually, I think I may want to bring this up to here because we don't want to bring everything back if it's not there. So why don't we do that? So why don't we create another list? So this list of objects. Objects, are we using this for anything? Yeah, we are. Okay, so we're putting that in there. So we're going to say return, how about call it bronze? Bronze objects equals, and we're going to make this a list. Okay. And then what we're going to say, let's just comment this out. And we're going to return our bronze objects. But we're going to loop through these and say this. But we have to pass in our key, don't we, if we do that? Okay, so. Okay, we're going to loop through our objects. We'll call this bronze. Oh, no, this would be our key. No, that's fine. Bronze files. For bronze files in that, if S key is in that, then we're going to append to this. Append. Append bronze files. Okay. Then we return that. The only thing is we need to pass in this key. So we got the bucket name. So now we're going to pass in a key. That I'm very big at making things generic, so they're not a lot of hard codes. But we need to pass this into here. Right. Okay, and let's loop through this so we can see what we've got. Okay. All right. I would expect it to be just the two. We're not really using that, are we? So let's get rid of that. Again, there's going to be more to this. That's why I'm passing in the client. Let's see. Get list of bronze files. That works. From S3. Okay, perfect. From. Okay, so now what we're going to do is this is going to execute this. I should bring it back unless you see something I'm missing. Yeah, we'll leave that for debug purposes just for now, but let's see what happens. Okay, let's go ahead and jump. Okay, so that's going to bring back our resources. Okay, and now let's see what we got. I actually just want to jump to here. Let's see if any of this works. The first two, so that's a bronze. That should append it. That's a bronze. That should append it. That one should not append. Should not append. Okay, great. Because that way we're not loading our other environments, right? So we'll now go to here, and this should give us just the two that we want. Print and print. Perfect. Okay. So that's kind of good. We need to return this. Let's get rid of this. Let's get rid of this. And let's see, we'll say bucket objects is a list of files from bronze S3. Okay, there we go. Now, let's go back and clean this up a little bit. Let's get rid of this. Now you can refactor this and make it better because I'm doing 2 loops, but there's not a lot of files, right? I'm only expecting 2 at a time anyway, but the other environments may have more. Oh, that's kind of cool. Can I tab? Yeah, cool. Okay, because I like that log. That log writes out what they are. Now, maybe because it's doing it a string, and yeah, that may not go from a list to a string. It may just tell me a list definition, but that's okay. We'll do that later. So now we've got our objects. Now we need to loop through our objects for each object. And we probably need to just download that local for now. Because what we're going to do is we're going to bring those into pandas. And I don't want to do that in S3. And I don't want to do that in caching because it's going to be a massive, huge thing, right? And this is another reason why we can't use Lambda. But let's see. To do bring down files from S3 to local. Okay. Ah, look at that. Merge files, clean files. I knew exactly what we're doing here. Okay. So the first thing I'm going to do is bring these files down. So I wonder if this is smart enough to do it for me. I don't know, but we're going to try it. Except, because I do know, first of all, that needs to come over one. And file and bucket objects. For each file and bucket object, I can't talk. Download the file. Let's see, download files. I don't, no, I don't think that's correct. S3 client.bucket. Okay. Bucket name. Dot. There, that's what it needs. Okay. So not that one. It needs to know the bucket name. In this case, it's going to be bronze. So, no, it will be, it will still be the same. And then we need to know file path here. Not that. So we'll call this data plus file. Okay. That is going to be that. I don't know if that'll work. Why don't we put this in its own method? That might make it easier. Def download from S3. Oops, I wanted that because that was my try catch. That's not what I want, but we're going to grab it anyway. Bam, bam, bam. Because I want the exception. Bam, and bam. Okay, cool. Now what I don't want is this. So bam, bam. Now let's see what we got. So we're going to download our file. We need the bucket name. So we'll just say bucket, comma. That's, well, we got bucket name over there, so we're okay with that. So we need bucket name. We need location, so we'll call it maybe, well, I can put that here, that's fine. So we need a path equals, I'm okay with that. We got to bring in our OS, okay? So that's going to give us our path. And then we're going to do S3 client equals S3, download file. It still wants to do it that way. I'm not sure that will work. Let's take this down to here. Paste that there. Now what do we have? Is that right? So I need S3 client, which I do. S3 bucket name, which we do. And the file, which is going to be that. See what this does? If this doesn't work, we may have to hop on Google real quick. Because I'm missing something simple, I'm sure. Let's jump over that. Let's jump over that. So we have that. Oh, you gotta be careful because you'll step into the logging. Is the path correct? So volumes, resource, data lake, silver environment, silver ETL, and data. Yes, that's correct. So the only thing I don't know if correct is this right here. So download from bucket there. Yeah, I mean, that kind of seems like it should work. Let's just see what happens. Oh, got another error. So no such file directory. To which part? This one? Bronze. Oh, because it's looking for the folder called bronze. Oh, okay. So yeah, that works. All right, so let's create a new folder. And we'll call it bronze. Okay, just because it's in that path. Now, the truth is what we can do is validate that, but you know what? The other one might have worked too. I should have read the error message. But the key to that is this won't create the folder unless you tell it to. And in the real situation, we would validate that folder exists. And if it does, then we would put it in. If not, we'd have created it, right? Pretty common sense there. So let's see what this worked. I didn't get an error. Okay, sometimes the files don't show up into you. And look at that, it worked. Sweet. Okay, cool. So little mishaps on my point, but come on, it's 8:30 on a Saturday. Give me a break. All right, so now we got our files. So now what we need to do is read these files. Okay, so let's go to do read local files from bronze. Read local JSON files from bronze. Okay, cool. So now let's do some fun stuff now. Finally. Okay, so we're going to create a folder right here called data equals maybe merge JSON files, and we need 2 files. Oh, well, yeah, we're gonna have to loop through that and get those files.